Today I'm going to talk about iambic pentameter, and an iamb is actually a unit of measurement. It's used in poetry, and you've probably heard of iambic pentameter when you hear about Shakespeare, because William Shakespeare most often used iambic pentameter when he was writing his blank verse, which means unrhymed poetry. So the first one I'm going to show you here is a real famous one from Romeo and Juliet, and you've probably heard it. Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and forswear thy name. Now, each one of these is a unit of 2 beats, 2 syllables, an unstressed syllable followed by a stressed syllable. That's called an iamb. An iamb. Okay, so here you can see the first iamb. This is actually pronounced Romeo rather than Romeo. So Romeo, that's one unit. Romeo. Wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and forswear thy name. So you can see here we have a bunch of units. I've divided these ones up here. This is an iamb. Unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. Wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny. You can hear, especially in this word, deny, the unstressed and then the stressed syllable following each other. Now, of course, Shakespeare wasn't exact all the time. It wasn't always perfect. So sometimes it was stressed, unstressed, stressed, stressed, such as in this one, to be or not to be, that is the question from Hamlet. To be or not to be, that's all iambs. Here they are, set of 2, set of 2, set of 2. That is the question. Okay, so here he falls off that rhythm of iambs, but all of these are pentameter. Pentameter means that it is 5, penta, sets of meters, meaning rhythms, measurements, and here they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus we got a little extra hanging off the end because it's not always exact. Sometimes it's 9, sometimes it's 11. So in this one, we'll go back to Romeo. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's exact pentameter, as is this. Deny thy father and forswear thy name. Those are both exact pentameters. But Shakespeare was not the only one to employ iambs. And in fact, many authors still use iambs all the time. One of the reasons Shakespeare used it, though, is because it's so much like the regular English that we speak. In fact, we often speak in 10 syllables. So let's see, we often speak in 10 syllables. Well, sometimes it's 9 to 11, sometimes it's 9 to 11, but that's just the way we phrase things in English. And there's a perfect 10. So you can see that what Shakespeare really wanted was to make us sound natural when we are the actors on stage. When we read Shakespeare today, that's one of the reasons it still rings so true to us, because the iambs and the iambic pentameter still holds in our regular kind of discussions and conversations we have in English today. Now, we go to Robert Frost. You might have heard these lines. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. Now, you might recognize that there is an iamb here as well. Whose woods these are, I think I know. But if we look at them, he wasn't using pentameter. Robert Frost used quadrameter, so we have 4 sets of iambs here. His house is in the village, though. It follows the same scheme. And iambic quadrameter is really, really, really popular. Nowadays, we still use it a lot. You might have seen more modern authors using it, including Robert Frost. Another author who uses it is this one. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. This is real strong iambs right here. Take a look at these iambs. I do not like green eggs and ham. And let's look at how many iambs, sets of iambs we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So iambic quadrimeter right here. Iambic quadrimeter. Going off the page there. I do not like them, Sam, I am. Now, I want to point out something. It sounds like I'm really putting the stress on those syllables. But if you read it the opposite way and you put the stress on the wrong word, it sounds really funny. So let me show you. It would sound like this. If I read it as stressed and unstressed, stressed and unstressed, this is what that would sound like. Whose woods these are, I think, I know, his house is in the village though. So you can see it sounds really awkward compared to whose woods these are, I think, I know, his house is in the village though. An interesting thing about that poem and Robert Frost is he's talking about a horse going through the woods, and you can kind of hear that in the iams. It sounds like a horse trotting. Whose woods these are, I think, I know, his house is in the village though. You can really hear those iams kicking in. It's a real neat sort of tie-in with the poem, which is about the horse stopping by woods on a snowy evening, and the sound of the poem when you read it aloud. Lastly, I want to point out that iams are used all over the place. So like I said, I do not like them in a box is the same form of iams as you might hear in two households, both alike in dignity. So this is the quadrimeter, here's the pentameter, this is the prologue from Romeo and Juliet by Mr. William Shakespeare. And again with Dr. Seuss, I do not like them with a fox. And then back to Shakespeare, in fair Verona where we lay our scene. So you can hear those iams sounding unstressed, stressed. So I do not like them, Sam I am. Thank you very much, and I hope you learned a lot about iambic pentameter.